Got nothing substantial to say for the introduction, so let's just go.
I'm sorry?
Was Shirley emotional?
No.
Okay.
No, Shirley was a very level person.
Okay. Did you communicate with either the defendant or Shirley in the days leading up to that?
Yes.
How did you communicate with them?
Both with phone calls and with texts.
The defendant and Shirley, like, what was the plan for February 1st of 2019?
I was aware that he had to turn himself in on February the 1st by 5 o'clock. And I knew that would be very, very difficult on his mother. So Shirley and I and Richard had been texting and talking back and forth that week. And my wife and I decided that we would go over there on February the 1st, and she would stay at home with Shirley, and I would take Richard to report to prison.
And what day of the week is February 1st?
If the accused had planned on doing what he did, actually, let me rephrase, he's accused of killing his mother. He's not been proven guilty. If the accused had planned on killing his mother and taking off, then why would he participate in a plan to have relatives show up at the house at the time that this is supposed to take place? That doesn't mean he didn't do it. It just means that it wouldn't make sense for him to have planned it in advance, at least at this point.
And do you know the approximate distance, or rather the time it would take to get from Shirley's house on Planters Row to the Cobb County Jail?
Given Atlanta traffic, I would guess probably an hour, around 5 o'clock. Probably around 2, I think, is what the text messages say. They had things they wanted to do prior to that.
The text message says that they will be there between 1 and 1:30. The crime occurred sometime between 9:39 and 2, if I have it right. It's convenient then for him to get a text message in the morning before he leaves and has to drive that distance. He'd need to be notified early, right? To stop him from getting there at 1 or 1:30. It makes sense then, if there was going to be something bad happening, that nobody would want witnesses. And it's just so convenient. Don't you think?
On what happened on February 1st. Did you drive into the Atlanta area that day?
I did not. I received text messages from Richard and from Shirley asking me not to come over on Friday morning.
Tell me about this text message that we were looking at from Shirley. Can you read it to the jury, please?
This is where she contacted me, and it says, I mean, everybody can read it. It just says, things are not good here. I can drive into the jail and get myself home without any problem. Richard has some things he has to take care of this morning, so we don't need to leave here before 2 o'clock. That's why he originally said for you to not get here before 1:30. He has a lot of things we need to talk about. And if she was requesting that I not come over, I was going to honor that.
The ankle monitor on the accused puts him at home with the victim at 9:38. At 9:39, he gets this text saying, "Don't come." Did the mother send it, or did the accused send it? Why all of a sudden the change in plans? Did he go? We're never going to know what the conversation was between him and his mother. Did he talk to his mother and say, "I don't want them coming now. I need to talk to you about some things"? Was he maybe planning to escape and wanted to say goodbye to his mother, and then she wasn't going to let him? I don't know. This is interesting.
I did. I made the decision I was actually already on the road when I got this, and I turned around and...
Yeah, they would have to text him early enough to stop him. They had to make sure he wasn't going to show up. So why is that? If he was going to come down, but Richard had things to do, he could have gone out for lunch somewhere and waited, right? To be with mom after.
What time did you hear from the defendant that morning?
10:25.
Okay, and what did the defendant say?
He said, "Thanks again, but as we both told you, she's okay. We need the privacy to talk through some matters. Please call her this weekend to check in. I cannot express how much your help has meant during this nightmare. I'll call you in a few weeks from inside. Love, Rich." I can tell you what it says without looking at it, but basically it says, "Call me, please," because I had already received the call that he had cut his bracelet and was running.
When you learned that the defendant had cut off his ankle monitor, what was your reaction?
Pretty much shock that he would do that.
The fact that he was shocked says something here. So we know that the accused did indeed cut off his monitor. That's not in doubt, right? So he did that. But this man, this relative who's known him all his life, obviously doesn't think that's something he would do. He's shocked. I think that speaks to how well he thought he knew him versus how well he did know him. It's not unusual to hear family members and friends speak about something an accused person did that seemed to the family and friends to be wildly out of character or shocking, even when it's proven that they did do the thing. When somebody is that shocked, you have to wonder what the accused keeps hidden from everybody. What is under the surface that nobody sees? This accused betrayed a whole lot of his clients. He was able to fool them or charm them and then steal from them.
It was very confusing. I didn't know what was going on. My main concern at that point was, where was Shirley?
Was anybody with you that morning?
No. They wanted to enter the house with me, and I told them no, because I didn't know what I was going to find.
Okay.
And so I took the key and went to the house.
Did you bring anything with you?
I was in my truck, and I also had a weapon.
Why did you bring a weapon?
Because I didn't know what I was going to find inside that house. We knew that Richard was in the wind, but we didn't know where he was. Shirley's car was missing, but he could have gotten back into the house.
Well, that's interesting. So he brings a weapon in the house with him, and that's understandable if you think something's wrong. But there are no signs of forced entry, so there's not really a reason to believe somebody's in there, but okay. He brings a weapon in the house because he thinks the accused might have got back in there. If he thinks it's just his relative, why does he feel the need for a weapon then? Right? So somewhere in him, he knows, despite him earlier saying he was shocked at his behavior, somewhere in him, he knows there's something wrong. He knows that the accused could be a threat. Now, that's not evidence at a trial that could be used to prove guilt, but it is something to observe. It's very interesting.
Exhibit 6 is a picture of the back door where I made entrance. I did. I checked all the doors. All the doors were locked and secured with deadbolts. And so I went around to the back door and made entrance on the next picture through that door.
And was the garage door closed?
Yes, the garage door was down and closed.
Do you know
Walked in and was checking the rooms as I went through there and did not see anything. And then I moved on into the kitchen and the den. And there's also a bedroom on the first floor. Didn't see anything there. Went around to the living room, and there wasn't any, and the dining room, and there wasn't anything there either.
Furniture or signs of struggle?
No, the only thing that I saw was in the bedroom on the first floor. There were bed linens on the floor.
Okay. And did you find Shirley?
Not at that point, I didn't. From there, I proceeded to go upstairs and searched the upstairs, did not locate her there. And then I came back downstairs and was going into the downstairs area, the basement area. I opened the door to the basement area. The door was not locked, but it was shut and the light was off. I went down the steps, and you had to go down and make a turn to the right. And when I made the turn to the right, after I'd flipped the light on, Shirley's body was laying at the bottom.
I'm going to show you Stacy's Exhibit 7.
I did. I called her name. She didn't respond. I went down, checked for a pulse. There was none. And at that point, I knew it was a crime scene, and I backed out.
So Richard is actually starting these two bubbles of conversation, expressing his worry. This is what's worried about her.
Well, I said, happy to help make it easier on your mom. I'll be there by 1. He replied, thank you so much. That's a relief for me. Was worried about her.
So originally the plan was for him to be there by 1. And at this point, the accused is not saying, oh, no, that's too early. It's later that he says that. I think these timelines are really important. That's why I'm mentioning it.
In fact, he's saying, please call her this weekend to check in, right?
That he's expressing concern about his mother is not, it doesn't necessarily mean much. Because if he did what he is accused of, if he is that kind of person, then he knows how he's supposed to behave. He knows what's expected of him. He knows how to talk people up. So that's not even interesting. What is interesting, though, is that he asks him, call and check on my mom. So if at this point he's planning on killing her, it wouldn't make sense to be asking somebody to call.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Party